Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to GoToWebinar. And whether watching this here or whether watching it on YouTube, you're very, very welcome. Delighted to see you here today. I hope you're all well and your day has started as it should be. Thank you very much for popping in. Thank you very much for being here as we straddle two channels, if you like. So whether watching this on GoToWebinar or YouTube Live or even on catch up on YouTube, I'm delighted to share some stuff with you. So thank you very much indeed. Let's get into it. Obviously, we need to start off with this important message just to remind you this is for educational purposes only. Please make sure that you do your due diligence on anything that you hear or see. Make sure that you follow trading plans. Make sure you manage risk on every trading action. That includes entry and exit, consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. Thank you to all of you who have said hello. Good day to you and Sonia, and hope you're all good today, and Johnny and Brian, and thank you very much, and to you guys on YouTube as well. You just hop over there and yeah, make sure you guys know too. Right, let's get into it. Let's get looking at some things. So we'll start by looking at what's come across the news today, and then, as usual, we'll try and find some charts of the day to have a look at. Now, some interesting news this morning, which has been received very well by markets, and some news that hasn't been received well by markets. So, start with last night, and just report there was a mixed session. The Dow hit new highs. Nasdaq was still struggling to make gains overnight. The big news coming out over the news rise is the US government has, or rather, the Congress has passed a funding vote for a bill which should end the government shutdown. All it needs is for Trump to sign off on that, which will happen in about an hour's time, I think they suggested. And of course, because of that, we've seen futures have a really nice bounce. I will check that out in a moment. I'll refrain from being political about this, but it is good news for the US generally, although people are going to get a bit of a shock when they see their insurance premiums. End of earnings season, we're in the last 9 or 10% of companies on the S&P 500 due to report, primarily retail stocks. Just keep an eye on those as they come across the wires. And hello, when. As I said, the US futures have bounced on Congress vote news. Asia markets are neutral to soft early on, but again, we're seeing a little bit of buying coming in. And the ASX is underperforming. It was down in excess of 1% after a strong jobs number, which has just about kiboshed the chances of an RBA rate cut, along with that higher than expected inflation number that we had recently. Nikkei is positive when last I looked, but I think the ASX is down about 0.7% now, but we'll check in where it's going. There was certainly a bounce when that news came through. European futures are pointing to a positive open. The US dollar index continues to retrace from 3-month highs. Gold is not retesting 4,000. Gold is smashing through 4,000, smashed through the next resistance. So it's actually shot through and has continued to do so throughout the week. Copper is moving towards the top of a recent range, may test resistance, and oil at 3-week lows. So yeah, just a few things in things are just sort of a bit choppy right now, because of the news that's just come out. So just be aware of that. If you're in positions, then they may be under a little bit of an interesting move. It might be worth just sort of locking some of that in on the way up if it is working in your favor. Oil has hit 3-week lows, may even test 4-year lows. We'll see how that goes. There is some EIA data out tonight, and that's going to be important. Bitcoin has dropped again. Remember how volatile it was when we last met, that we reported on. That it continues to be so, and may test the $100,000 support, really key psychological low for Bitcoin. We'll have a look at the chart. Of course, all eyes right now for this moment in time are on the US. CPI should be released. But as I said, the major economic data today is the Aussie jobs are strong. We had UK GDP and that EIA report later, which may impact on oil and oil stocks. Let's just quickly check out a few of the things we can check out now with ease. I will have a look at US last night. First of all, you can see there those record highs on the Dow. The S&P just managed to close over neutral. Bit of softness in the Russell and the Nasdaq. But if we look at the futures, you'll see they're looking quite green. They weren't looking particularly favourable early on, but we've had a bounce. European futures looking good as well. You can see weakness today in oil, in gold, in copper. So commodities just come off a little bit as the US dollar just gained a little bit on that news. The Aussie dollar is obviously very strong because of that jobs number. And if we just have a look at that, you can see there the unemployment rate, the headline number, has ticked down 0.1%, which wasn't expected. Now you can see double the employment change. That's has that been revised down? Yeah, it has been revised down from last month's. We've got UK GDP later on today, industrial production, manufacturing production as well. But the crude oil inventories are obviously fairly important, as I've already said. If we look into tomorrow, we've got some GDP number coming out of the Eurozone. It's the flash GDP number, so that one has most impact. The trade balance out of the Eurozone will be interesting in terms of tariff action. I'm just looking to see if we've got any indication. No, it'll be interesting to see if there is any release of any government data at all, or whether it'll be next week. A couple of the Fed members speaking, which is sort of interesting. And then if we're just checking on Asia, you can see there the Nikkei is outperforming House Leader Johnson there, with a stupid smirk on his face. This is going to be interesting as well, because the House is open. They have been holding off signing in there's a new House member coming who's a Democrat, and that should push the vote sufficient to have a vote on the Epstein file. You can see the House Speaker has announced that, and that vote will determine whether the release is going to happen. And there's this sort of headline coming out as well at the moment, so just watch that. It's really sort of interesting how it might all play out. As I said, very mixed session in Asia. Let's just have a closer look at the ASX. Perhaps is prudent. My guess is that resources are probably looking quite strong. If anything, yeah, you can see there we've dropped off again. So almost 1% down again. So that immediate rally. You can see 120 to 73, not much going on in terms of happiness on the ASX. Let's just check out the sectors. You would imagine, yeah, resources are really and healthcare, the only two sectors in positive territory. Material looking surprisingly on the back of moves up in copper and gold. So outside of that, it's pretty scarce. Financials getting belted in the last couple of days. And IT are really struggling, interestingly. Anyway, let's just close some of these down and let's have a look at some charts, shall we? That's what we're here for. Let's start with Bitcoin. If we look here, you can see Bitcoin. We talked about how volatile this was within this range between 100,000 and 106,000. or 106,000, sorry. But the last couple of days, seen a bit of selling, sort of neutralized in Asia a little bit, but watch this level, 100, just over 100, just under 100,000, where those wicks sit. A breach of that should will potentially mean more selling. The Nasdaq, as I said, is sort of stuck. It's really been stuck for the last couple of weeks since we had this drop. We had that scary candle on Friday, which recovered and honoured this support. So we're stuck in a really tight range on that Nasdaq at the moment. If we just look at the 30-minute chart, as I said, we had a down start to the session, but we recovered that and then gained some. Probably wouldn't be interested in this unless we see a continuation. We might see that when Europe opens. Watch 25,730. US dollar index just drifted down over the last week. That's failing to hold a breach of 200 MA. Of course, it's been positive for gold, which again, early on, we've had a really nice session. We had a double bottom here, really nice week, sorry. Double bottom here, move up to the upside. Breach 41, tested 42. Where are we at exactly now? Yeah, we tested the high of the last two candles is over 4,200. So that's obviously proving to be a little bit of a sticking point for right now. If we just check out the shorter time frame, you can see it's had a few attempts at this. 4210 looks like the level to get interested in this. That's really worth keeping an eye on. Copper, as I said, is having a good day at the office. He's moving back towards the top of this range. Let's put this at 520 as a level of interest. So a few Neelys. Oil is certainly not nearly. There's the sell-off yesterday. This is the 4-year low. Close, I think, at 57.72. We've intraday tested 56.68. So we are heading down there at a great rate of knots. Really, over the last couple of weeks, we've just seen a drift down in this downward trend channel. Soft again today, although again off the lows, but that's a dreadful drop yesterday. But watch that EIA data tonight. That could be pushing things down. Right, so that's where it is. So the major asset classes, certainly gold and the Nasdaq, look as though they're worth keeping an eye on. Maybe copper later. Watch when the LME opens this afternoon. Into the FX world, and you can see in terms of the USD, as I said, a little bit of strength in the USD versus the yen. There was a clear line in the sand at 155. Nice round number for markets to play with. We would really expect to see. If we can put it up. There's the euro versus the yen. We've breached a level. We've created a new range there, 179.45. That looks very positive as well. And I think that's probably worth keeping an eye on. That actually could be difficult to beat. Let me just flick this over. I'm just going to get rid of our trading panel. Go back to the norm. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to have a look at the Aussie crosses, because you can see they're all strong on the back of that jobs number. Aussie yen, there's the bounce we had. There's the hourly chart. There's the daily chart. There's the weekly chart. So we've breached a really important level on the daily chart here at 101. That move through is significant. So whichever way you slice it, this is highs not seen back since June 2024. So almost 16-month lows, I guess. So we're seeing that push above. That's very, very bullish, but whichever pair you're looking at is interesting. Some ground to make up on the USD, so I wouldn't touch the Aussie USD for right now. And the Aussie Kiwi is strong again. There is the breach on the daily chart of the previous high. And again, if we just sort of take this back a little, let's look at the chart, you can just see this is highs photo there. So after a pause in the range here, Aussie is looking strong against the Kiwi, the yen particularly. So those are the two I'll keep an eye on. I think we're going to find it very difficult to beat. Let me just check euro. I might check GB pound Aussie actually. Just to grab another chart just to drag across. Kiwi, Swissy, Kiwi is looking really weak today. Swiss is looking quite strong. Let's check the GB pound Aussie, which was already under a little bit of pressure. We're at a key level on the GB pound Aussie. Below that too. 2 level now. So this is a really key level. Last tested in 29th October. So that's sort of interesting as well. Just trying to see if there's anything else that's jumping out. There is, as I said, there is a bit of strength apart from against the Aussie in the USD. I don't think any of them are going to be compelling enough to jump in out. We maybe got a double bottom there on the hourly chart on the US Swissy, but that feels as though it might get stuck a few pips to the upside from where it is now, maybe 10 or 15 pips max in that. So yeah, so I'm going to go with my Aussie crosses. So Aussie Kiwi, and of course the Aussie Yen. There you go. There's that really. A multi-time frame break is always good news for any 24-hour-a-day asset. So there you go. Anyway, that's your FX chart of the day. In terms of stocks, as I said, a really shaky day. But Domino's Pizza don't seem to care. This was a chart that we were looking at before. We said watch 2008. It absolutely smashed through that this morning. So that's a really strong chart. Lithium stocks also outperforming. Here's PLS. We talked about this yesterday, along with Liontown. But all of this sector is looking good. You can see how we've breached that high. If we hold it, 360 will be a high not seen for in excess of, what's that, 18 months? Not quite 18 months. 16 months. So 16 going high from PLS. So lithium stocks are really strong at the moment. I haven't looked at OIC for a little while. Oh, LTR is absolutely fucking up. Yeah, we talked LTR yesterday. Continues to move up. We said this was a level of interest that it breached yesterday. It didn't even give people a chance today. You can see the profit taking coming in if we look at the 30 chart. As soon as that first half hour was done. So we do like we do like Domino's Pizza. We do like PLS. We don't like a 360 ASX yet. I think this is an earnings, but let's see if we bounce off that, closing the gap. What I wanted to do was just put on this was down. It's having a really good day. I'm going to plump for PLS as my chart of the day. So we had essentially a refusal to move any higher yesterday for this trend continuation potential trade. So this was the previous resistance. We had this move above it, a reluctance to go any higher than that, but you can see it has today. That's a very nice move up. So PLS or Domino's. Those are my two ASX charts of the day. Orica is having a nice day at the office as well. Not one I tend to have a look at very often, but Orica looks really interesting. Don't know why we've got that line on there. Maybe a remnant of another chart, but this is all-time highs on Orica. Is it? Just, oh, that's why we've got it on there. So it relates to this 2019 level. So yeah, that's why it's not gone through it. It's called resistance for a reason. So watch a move through that. Could be interesting. There's a little bonus one for you to keep an eye on. US could be difficult. We talked about rare earth stocks. bouncing off this support. Indeed it did. It's looking quite good for a move back up in this general direction. I don't know why I've got all these cryptos on here. In terms of MU, they were one we liked. We're still not seeing this. As I said, the Nasdaq looking a bit shaky generally speaking. So possibly stay away from that. Airlines looking good again. Here's Delta Airlines. Let's just check on LUV as well, actually, because Delta's still got some work to do before it breaches this key level at 63 or 62.50, let's say. Nvidia were down a little bit again. They just don't want to move out of this range, so I'd leave Nvidia alone for a moment. Tesla looks shocking in extended hours trading. It looks as though it might even test this support here at around about 416. That's a level to keep an eye on. CCL I wanted to have a look at. We talked about this earlier as a potential, was it last night or was it earlier in the week? As a potential bounce level of 2026. You can see we tried to do that in last night's trading, but really failed to hold this next level of interest at 27.81. That's the level I'll be watching for going forward. So anyway, I think we'll sort of probably. I quite like that for a move up to 29, but it's not catching me very. I like CCL as a long-term hold, maybe. A nice bounce for Robinhood markets. I might make this my US chart today. I saw this earlier, but I thought I'd pop it up. Just simply because it's bounced off support. Really nice 3-bar reversal. 132, potentially move up to 140. Could be a pause level around here. You can see there's a little bit of a price action consolidation around there. It was a little sticky around there too. So I would wait for a move over 135, but then potentially move up to retest mid 140s. So that's my US chart of the day. So there you go. That's all for right now. Thank you very much for popping in. I hope that has been interesting, useful. Thank you to those of you who attended on GoToWebinar. Thank you for those of you who attended on YouTube and those who are watching it in the future. Trade safe. We'll see you again very soon. Take care and bye-bye for now.